Well, let's see. Let's do our little early predictions. Where do we see Juan Soto going this offseason? Uh, Brian, you want
Other side of New York.
to
Okay,
across the street?
so just across the street, yeah. So although they kind of fit the whole criteria to get Juan Soto. Obviously, they have the bankroll. Steve Cohen's shown that he's willing to flash the cash.
Yeah.
They lose $178 million in payroll this year. So they have that money to free up. Obviously, you're going to want to probably pay Alonso, and probably pay some of your younger dudes like Vientos who blew up in the postseason. Give him a long deal so he's there for a while.
Could see them extending Mania maybe.
Yeah, I think they should give Mania a contract. Obviously, no one's going to blame him for taking his player option.
Yeah.
He had a career year. He deserves to take that player option. So the money's not really a problem for them. Obviously, they showed that they're contenders, which also checks something off of Juan Soto's list.
Yeah.
And he's played in the East before, in the NL East, and he knows a lot of the Mets players well. And I think the Mets kind of, like, at least last year, showed a vibe that they're kind of a team you want to play for because they're very loose. Obviously, Carlos Mendoza, certainly at the beginning of the year, proved me wrong. He seems like he's a very, very good manager.
Good clubhouse.
Yeah, it's a great clubhouse. And realistically, it's going to break my heart, but there's obviously always a possibility he'd go to LA with the Dodgers. Yeah. That would be an Angels move.
That would be crazy.
Just to sign somebody random and then still kind of suck like they did with Howard Pujols.
I was going to say, it's like the whole Pujols
It
situation.
is,
again.
but also Soto's 25.
Yeah.
Instead of 30 or whatever Pujols was. But oddly enough, the place I could see him going, just because they're always sneaky with their money, even though they have a lot of it, I don't know if they check off the contender box, but San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were saying San Diego, but San Diego had the option to pay him and they decided to trade him.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to really be in for it. And then, obviously the Yankees could always resign. But I think there's really only a few teams in it that have the bankroll to do it, and that's the Dodgers, Giants, the Mets, and the Yankees.
Yeah.
I don't see any other team kind of ponying up that cash for Juan Soto.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like, what are the Dodgers going to do now? I think one of the biggest, fuck yous that they could do to the league is, hey, guess what? We have all this money. Let's go ahead and add Juan Soto to this lineup. So I think he's going to go to LA. Sad to say.
I would hate.
It's even worse than when KD joined the Warriors. It's
pretty up there with that, though.
No, I think it's worse.
It has to be worse.
It has to be
worse.
Because, dude, they won a World Series and we're missing their top 3 starters.
And what makes it even worse is that he's going to get paid so much money.
$600 million.
$600 million man, and he's going to go to the defending World Series champions. And that scares me. I would stop watching baseball.
Like, same.
And something like the commissioner should step in like he did with that, like
in the NBA.
When the NBA that was with Chris Paul, right?
That trade, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But,
I
I don't know. For me personally, the way I look at it is, I think New York suits him perfectly. Just the way he plays. I think he hit 40 homers. Obviously, the swing will cater.
Yeah,
the short porch will cater to his swing. But I was looking at it, and Gleyber Torres is a free agent. And there was a couple guys Verdugo's a free agent, but I would say with
Dominguez,
yeah, I don't really see him coming out or coming back. And they still have some holes on their team, so I think the fan base move would be to get Soto and bring him back.
They almost do it with Judge,
but I feel I mean, according to John Hammond, he was one of the Giants.
Yeah, well, that was Arson, not Aaron. I said that was Arson, not Aaron.
Arson Judge.
No, apparently, according to some reports that came out, he was in San Diego.
Well, he was there for the winter meetings, I believe it was.
Well, so apparently he was going to put pen to paper to be a Padre, and then the Yankees offered him the same contract and the actual captainship for the Yankees, and he said yes because he wanted to be a Yankee, obviously. Now I don't know how much that's an alleged. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much of that is true.
Take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but allegedly he was trending towards being, oddly enough of all things, a San Diego Padre.
God,
that would have been crazy too.
But just to wrap that up, I guess the conversation about it, I guess But the smart move for me would probably be to bring back these guys, like the team that got them there.
Sure.
But obviously we saw with how great a year he had, that didn't get them there. So you start to think maybe do we spend more money?
Bullpen and
'Cause,
starters.
I mean, aside from a couple of pieces that they had in the bullpen, it wasn't a relatively great bullpen. You got a guy that throws nothing but changeups. Tim Hill, granted, he looked good. Clay Holmes kind of figured it out in that series.
Weaver was also very good.
But even that's a guy that was going from team to team to team, and then he finally figured out when he switched his mechanics up a little bit. But I think just as a collective, I think it makes more sense to spread that money out. But obviously, it's the Yankees. You expect the sexy move.
Yep.
So I think he'll go back to the Yankees. But I guess just looking at it from an outside, I think there's a lot more holes that they need to fix and kind of replace
Right.
than to bring back a Juan Soto.